One morning, I looked in the mirror and decided I was done letting fear dictate my choices. I lost jobs, my health ended up dwindling, and people that I thought were beside me slowly moved away, as far as mental wise. Each day I felt like I was trying to climb a mountain with no future in sight. But somewhere in the quiet moments, I realized that survival wasn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It was about learning to walk through it. I started waking up early, thinking about what I was grateful for, and taking one step at a time towards my goal every day. Now, I felt like my progress was slow, but real. And over time, I rebuilt a career, strengthened my body and got healthier, and surrounded myself with people who were positive. Now, the pain of the past did not go away. It didn't vanish, but it kind of transitioned into a kind of strength for me. And I learned that the hardest obstacles aren't meant to break us. They're meant to shape us into someone, who can weather any storm. Now, when life throws its worst things at me, I don't fear them anymore. I walk right through them. And I know that there is always a positive outcome on the other end as long as I work for it. So, as many of you know, and many of you don't know, I lost a child back in 2009. My daughter, my firstborn daughter. Her name was Brianna. All I can say is there's no words that can fully capture the moment that I lost her. And it felt like the world stopped breathing. And I was left in a silence that was really heavy against my chest. I didn't know what to do. I broke into a million pieces. I thought I'd never come back from it. The days that came and went, my grief became kind of a shadow. And even the simplest tasks felt almost impossible. For a long time, I believed I would never feel, positive or love again or feel right in my mind. But slowly, in the smallest ways, I began to find moments of peace. A sunrise that painted colors, my child would have loved. A laugh that shared with a friend who didn't try to fix my pain, but just simply sat with me in it. I learned that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means carrying love forward in a new way. And I became honoring my baby girl's memory through planting flowers in the spring and talking about her without fear. And the loss will always be a part of me, but so will the love. And the love has become my compass. It guides me through the darkest nights towards a life of sadness, sorrow, and all of that, along with love, can coexist. And for years, I lived in a home where love was supposed to grow, but instead, fear was there every single day. Abuse wasn't always visible. Sometimes it was, in the chipped up way, it chipped at my confidence, and other times in the silence that made me feel invisible. I basically convinced myself that if I tried harder, loved more, or stayed, that things would change. But they didn't. And the turning point came the day I realized my life was worth more than my pain. Leaving wasn't easy. It meant walking away from the familiar into the unknown with nothing but what I had on me, along with hope. Very, very little bit of hope. But, each step away from the door was a step towards freedom. Healing was not instant at all, and I had to relearn how to trust, how to speak without fear, and how to see myself as worthy of love and respect. I did do a little bit of, therapy, but I realized that I myself can only change my feelings and my mental status. I had the support of my family and friends, and a little bit of courage I didn't know I really had. They became my lifelines, and today I'm stronger. Not because the past didn't hurt, but because I refuse to let it define me. I'm no longer just surviving, I'm living. And on my very own and independent. And at first, to me, it didn't really look like abuse. It kind of started off small, and it didn't really start happening until after I gave birth to our first son. It looked like love wrapped in control, I would say. Small criticisms kind of disguised as concern. Isolation framed as, protection, because that's, what I was told. I'm protecting you. Slowly, all that just began to fade. I stopped laughing as much, stopped seeing friends, and started believing I wasn't enough. Sang in a band, and, every time I would go sing in the band, my abuser would be with me, and I would have to look at the floor, or I'd be accused of wanting to cheat. I didn't have that joy anymore. And the hardest part wasn't leaving, it was realizing I deserved to. That moment came, when I looked into the mirror and barely recognized the person staring back at me, and knew then that if I stayed, I would lose myself completely, or I wouldn't be on this earth anymore. Like I said, walking away was terrifying, and I had to rebuild my life from the ground up, piece by piece. There were nights that I cried until morning, and days where, all of these thoughts would be in my ear, and just the support of the people who truly cared, I began to reclaim my voice. And I carry my scars not as shame, but as proof of my strength. I've learned, that love should never hurt. And my worth is not defined by someone whose treatment of me was wrong. And I'm free and whole again. And that's what I take from it. A life lesson I learned. And yeah, I'm a single mom. My hands are always busy, washing, cooking, sewing clothes, holding kids. But back then, I didn't really have much. But what I had, I stretched it like magic. And to this day, I still do. 6 kids, a home, and my heart big enough to hold them all. Money was always scarce for me. And some nights dinner was little more than bread and hope. But I made those moments feel kind of warm, and talking to my kids, and turned it into a place of laughter instead of lack of, I would say. There was stress, there was irritability, but I moved forward and overcame those obstacles as well. And, I've wore the same coat for years before, so that my kids would have shoes that fit them. I've worn the same clothes, the same shoes for years, so that my kids could have things that fit them. Shoes, clothes, or even food. I've went nights where I haven't ate because there just wasn't enough, and I wanted to make sure all of my kids' bellies were full. Life tested me daily, but I never let them see the defeat on me when they were younger. And I taught them that wealth isn't measured in coins or money, but in kindness. And kindness, you can give it away freely. I hope one day that, when all of my kids are grown, they just look back and realize I gave them more than I ever knew I could. Courage, compassion, and the belief that even in the hardest times, family's enough. So for years, I struggled to find a home, a stable home, a place to finally breathe. And we have that now. For years, home was never certain. We moved from place to place and chasing affordable rent and patching leaks in walls and making, do with what we had. The kids, and I would have to pack quickly, and I learned to hide my worry behind my smile. Stability felt like a dream that was way too far away for me to reach. Then one day, the keys were in my hand. A real home, ours to keep, ours only. The walls were bare, at first, but they had laughter. They had laughter echoing off them, I would say. Before we even unpacked, each of my kids chose their own corner of the world, I would say. Making their little areas up and dreaming of plans for their rooms and what they're going to do with them. And now mornings start with the smell of some breakfast. Not every day, but on many days, I do cook them a home cooked breakfast. Sometimes they just grab what they want because they're older. But yeah, it starts with the smell of breakfast instead of the sound of boxes being taped shut. The kids run around without fear of having to say goodbye to it. And at night they go to sleep knowing that tomorrow we'll still be here. It's more than a roof. It's safety, it's peace, it's the foundation for a future we can finally build together. And after years of being unknown or uncertain, we're home. And we're home for a few years. My life goal is to buy a home. Yeah, I'm renting this one, but I will, and I promise myself and my kids, I will own our own home. Through all the storms that life has thrown at me, every storm that I never expected, through it all, my kids have been the anchor. Every decision I make, every step I take is guided by the thought of giving them the best life I can. I always felt bad for decisions I made to better us, but through the years and everything that I've been through, I've kind of learned to let go of the things that don't serve us. Negative people, unnecessary drama, and the distractions that pull me away from what matters most. My energy is for them and myself, helping them with school stuff, listening to their stories, making sure they know that I do love them beyond anything in this world. Focusing on my kids doesn't mean life is perfect. It means I choose to pour my time, heart, and strength into the people that matter the most. They're my motivation to keep going, my reminder of what's truly important, my priority, and my greatest accomplishment. No matter what the world throws our way, they will still know that I am here and I'm not going anywhere. No matter how much they get mad at me, how many fits are thrown, they will always know that I will be the one and only that will always be by their side. There comes a moment where you realize you can't keep living the same story. You have to write yourself a new chapter. And for me, the moment wasn't really loud. It wasn't dramatic, but it was quiet and just a simple thought of, I deserve better. We deserve better. Changing my life for the best didn't happen overnight. It started with small choices. Waking up early, speaking kindly to myself, you got to do that. You got to kind of motivate yourself. Letting go of all the people that drained me. I mean, every little step I made was fearful, and it kind of felt uncertain, but each one kind of moved me closer to the life I wanted. And I learned that transformation isn't about becoming someone else. It's about overcoming the strongest, truest version of yourself. It's about believing that you are worthy of happiness and peace and purpose, and then just building a life that reflects that truth. And now I just wake up with gratitude and not dread. And I see challenges as stepping stones and not roadblocks anymore. And I know that no matter where you start, you can always choose to turn the page and create a life that you love and you deserve. So I guess I would just say take that, take all of that I said and just let it really sink in. You make your choices in life. You are the root of everything that goes on with your life. You make the final call on what happens to you and where you end up. And my life's decisions and choices are not perfect, and I will never say that. I'm not better than anybody. I just choose to walk a path that better serves myself and my kids. So